to Wickedly Judged, a podcast dedicated to exposing wrongful convictions and fighting for justice reform. I'm Rebecca, your host and founder of Wickedly Judged. Today marks a powerful milestone. 20 years since Johnny Watkins was taken from his family for a crime he did not commit. Johnny's case is a symbol of everything that can go wrong in our justice system. And it's also a rallying cry for all of us who refuse to give up this fight for justice. This episode is a special recap and update. I'll walk you through the full story of Johnny's case, the heartbreak and hope his family has endured, and the incredible partnerships that are giving us new hope. R&R Russell Services and Street Groomers. I'll also share how you can help by signing the change.org petition, spreading the word, and contributing to our GiveSendGo fundraiser for Johnny's court expenses. So settle in, get comfortable, grab a cup of coffee, and let's honor Johnny's story together. Let's start at the very beginning. If you're new to Johnny's story, or if you've been with us since the start, it's important to understand just how deeply the system failed him. July 28, 2005, 20 years ago, 2 decades, Johnny Watkins was arrested and charged with aggravated murder. He was in the wrong place at the wrong time, and despite a lack of direct evidence, he quickly became the focus of law enforcement's investigation. An investigation that solved a homicide in 6 hours. From the outset, the investigation was riddled with problems. Police and prosecutors developed tunnel vision, zeroing in on Johnny and ignoring leads that pointed elsewhere. Evidence that could have cleared Johnny was dismissed and buried. A confession by another person is one of the most shocking aspects of this case. This wasn't hearsay or a jailhouse rumor. This was a direct, documented confession. But instead of presenting that evidence to the prosecutor and to the grand jury, they buried it, focused solely on Johnny. Why? Because it went against their narrative. The prosecution withheld key evidence, information that would have cast serious doubt on Johnny's guilt. This evidence was never shared with the defense or the jury. This is not just a technical error. It's a violation of Johnny's rights and a betrayal of justice. Johnny's public defender was overwhelmed, underfunded, and, as I found out years down the road through a deep investigation, was fighting his own legal battle to see whether he was going to even be able to keep his law license. Yet despite all these issues, the ignored confession, the hidden evidence, the ineffective defense, Johnny still went to trial. The jury only saw what the prosecution wanted them to see. They never heard the true story. Johnny was convicted of murder and sentenced to 21 to life. His life and the lives of his family and loved ones changed forever. But let's not forget the victim in this case, Steve Eakins. Steve's family will never get the justice that he deserves. The real confessed murderer will never stand trial because this case lacks any physical evidence. No murder weapon, no fingerprints, no DNA, no forensic evidence, nothing. So the family of Steve Eakins will never have justice. For years, Johnny's appeals have been denied. Courts refused to look at the new evidence. The system, designed to correct mistakes, instead doubled down, leaving Johnny trapped for a crime he did not commit. But this isn't just about legal paperwork. For Johnny, it's meant 20 years of lost birthdays, holidays, and family time. For his loved ones, it's been 2 decades of heartbreak, advocacy, and hope against impossible odds. Johnny's case is a textbook example of what's broken in our justice system. Prosecutors who care more about their conviction rate than they do the truth. Defense attorneys without the resources to actually be able to do their jobs. Courts that refuse to admit when they made a mistake. And a system that too often values finality over fairness. And that, my friends, is why we fight. That is why we will continue to fight. Because Johnny's story, as sad as it is not unique. There are countless others like him. Innocent people lost in the system, waiting for someone to care enough to take action. You see, wrongful convictions don't just destroy one life. They ripple out, hurting families, friends, and entire communities. For Johnny's family, every day has been a battle to keep hope alive, a battle to hold on to memories, a battle to keep Johnny's name in the public eye, even as the years have ticked by. Think about the birthdays missed, the holidays spent apart, the milestones Johnny never got to share with his loved ones. This isn't just about legal paperwork in courtrooms. It's about real lives, real pain, and the strength it takes to keep fighting for justice year after year after year. 20 years is too long for anyone to have to wait for justice. So let's break down what went wrong in Johnny's case, because understanding the failures is the first step to fixing them. So you have prosecutorial misconduct. Evidence in Johnny's favor was ignored and buried. Buried under the victim's name, hoping to never be found. Because if that evidence would have been presented at trial, it would have at the very least raised reasonable doubt. And as anybody knows who's ever watched a TV show, you don't have to prove innocence. You just have to raise reasonable doubt. Even though this confession would have proved his innocence at the time of trial. But Johnny's lawyer was so overwhelmed and under-resourced, he was unable to mount a defense because he didn't have all the evidence. So how can you do a fair defense if the prosecutor hasn't turned over everything to the defense? You can't. So while we don't hold the defense attorney solely responsible, we did find out years later that while he was at Johnny's trial, he was fighting his own court battle. He was fighting to see whether or not he was going to lose his law license. So how much time and effort and care do you actually think that he put into fighting for Johnny's freedom? Somebody he didn't know, wasn't familiar with, got the case a couple days before they went to trial. Now, what kind of defense do you actually think that he had time to do his job properly? He didn't. He was worried about his life and his future, not his clients. But the most damning failure of all is the fact that another person confessed to the crime. But that confession was not given the weight it deserved. Instead of presenting that as evidence, they pressed on with their case against Johnny. But Johnny's case is not an isolated incident. It's a stark example of how the system can fail, especially for those without resources or connections. For years, we have pored over every case file, every transcript, every piece of evidence. We've uncovered new leads, found multiple inconsistencies, and kept pushing for the truth. But the system has been slow to listen. But you see, here's where the story changes, because we're not giving up. This year, Wickedly Judged is proud to partner with R&R Russell's Services and Street Groomers. These organizations are bringing renewed energy, expertise, and grassroots power to Johnny's case. R&R Russell Services has stepped up in a big way, reviewing the case files, identifying new legal strategies, and now working with us to file the motions that could finally bring Johnny home. Their experience in navigating the legal system and their commitment to justice has been invaluable. Street Groomers is a community-driven advocacy group known for their boots-on-the-ground approach. They're dedicated to supporting families, raising awareness, and building public pressure for justice reform. Street Groomers has joined forces with R&R Russell Services, working side by side to amplify Johnny's story, organize community outreach, and ensure that Johnny's case isn't forgotten. Together, R&R Russell Services and Street Groomers are coordinating legal action and public advocacy. They're organizing rallies and online campaigns. They're supporting the Change.org petition to demand Johnny's release, bringing together community voices to show that Johnny is not alone. And as part of this united effort, we've launched a fundraiser on GiveSendGo to help cover Johnny's court expenses. Legal battles are costly, and every donation, no matter the size, directly supports the motions and filings that could finally bring Johnny home. If you're able, please visit our GiveSendGo campaign or go to the Wickedly Judged website and make a donation. Your generosity fuels this fight for justice. We know that legal battles are won in the courts, but public support is what keeps the momentum going. That's why R&R Russell Services and Street Groomers have started and are championing a Change.org petition to raise awareness about Johnny's case. This petition is more than just a list of names. It's a statement that Johnny's life matters, that wrongful convictions can't be ignored anymore, and that the public demands accountability. And alongside the petition, our GiveSendGo fundraiser is live to help cover Johnny's court expenses. Every signature and every dollar brings us one step closer to justice. Please, if you do one thing after listening to this episode, sign the petition and visit the GiveSendGo campaign. Share them with your friends, your family, your social media networks. Let's make sure that Johnny's story is heard far and wide, and that he has the resources he needs to keep fighting. So where are we today? The new motions are being prepared. with R&R Russell Services leading the charge and Street Groomers mobilizing community support. Johnny's family continues to fight, refusing to let the system forget him. Wickedly Judged is amplifying the case, bringing together advocates, listeners, and supporters from across the country and the world. This is a turning point. After 20 years, we finally have a real shot at bringing Johnny home. But Johnny's case isn't just about one man. It's about a system that too often gets it wrong. There are thousands of people like Johnny waiting for someone to listen, someone to care, someone to fight for them. By sharing Johnny's story, and with the help of partners like R&R Russell Services and Street Groomers, we're shining a light on all the others. We can't change the past, but we can fight for a better future. So you might be wondering, what can I do? It's simple. Sign and share the change.org petition. Visit our GiveSendGo fundraiser and contribute if you are able to. Or go to wickedlyjudged.com and leave a donation. Everything supports Johnny's legal fight. Follow Wickedly Judged, R&R Russell Services, and Street Groomers on social media. Talk about Johnny's story at home, at work, online. Support organizations that are fighting for justice reform. Every voice matters. Every action counts. I started Wickedly Judged because of Johnny's case. Because I know what it's like to fight for someone you love. Because I truly believe that justice isn't just a word, it's a promise. This fight, it isn't easy, but it's worth it. As we close out this episode, I want to look ahead. With R&R Russell Services and Street Groomers by our side, a growing community of supporters, and renewed legal action, I believe this will be the year we bring Johnny home. But we need your help. Stay with us. Keep fighting. Keep believing. Thank you for listening, for caring, and for standing with Johnny and with all those that are still fighting for justice. And remember, sign the change.org petition. Visit our GiveSendGo fundraiser or our donation page at wickedlyjudged.com. Your support directly helps with court expenses. Follow Wickedly Judged, R&R Russell Services, and Street Groomers for updates. Share Johnny's story. Share his petition. And if you can, support our advocacy by purchasing Wickedly Judged merchandise. Together, we can make a difference. Together, we can bring Johnny home. I want to thank Veterans Alliance for sponsoring this episode, and to JP Verse of Versefire Records for our intro and outro music. Without your guys' support, Wickedly Judged wouldn't be happening. This has been Wickedly Judged. I'm Rebecca, and remember, stay curious, stay vigilant, and stay hopeful, because nobody deserves to be wickedly judged.